Yes, students, so welcome to another part. So in this part, we'll be studying about what the poem exactly says, right? What is the essence of the poem, or what is the core idea of the poem, right? So as you can see, the poem is based on the spiritual theme, because you see God and you see a lot of spirituality in the poem. So it is based on the spiritual theme, right? Okay, so now it also tells us, the poem also tells us that how the little girl reminds elders of how God is omnipresent. So as I have explained you in the poem itself, that the little girl is reminding the elders of how God is omnipresent. What is the meaning of omnipresent, students? Omnipresent means anything that is present anywhere and everywhere. Okay, anything that is present anywhere, everywhere, on little things, large things, anything that is present anywhere and everywhere is called as omnipresent. So what are the two core central ideas of the poem? It is spiritual theme. This poem has a spiritual theme here, and how the little girl reminds elders of how God is present everywhere. That means how God is omnipresent. Okay, students. So now, students, we'll be learning about the we'll be learning about two figures of speech in this poem that the poet has used. So one I have already introduced you in the poem, that is personification, and the other one that is new to you, I'll be explaining you that in detail, right, students? Okay, so one before explaining the figures of speech, I'll be explaining you about imagery, how imagery is used. Students, as you know that imagery is anything that is that the poet or the writers or the author is a poetic device. Okay, so imagery is a poetic device that is used by the authors or the poets to create a scene, or to create a imagination in our head while we read. So if you observe, the whole poem is an imagery. Okay, in the whole poem, maximum use of imagery has been made by the poet, so that you guys understand what the poem is all about. Okay, so now we'll be learning about the two figures of speech. Students, so the first figure of speech is over here. It is Synecdoche. Okay, what is the pronunciation? You can see over here. It is Synecdoche. Okay, it's pronounced as Synecdoche, and it's very easy. It's nothing very complicated. Okay, so what is Synecdoche? So Synecdoche has two main parts. Like, a part represents a whole. I'll give you the examples. Don't worry. A part represents a whole, and a whole represents a part. Okay, what is Synecdoche? A part represents a whole, or a whole represents a part. Vice versa. Okay, both the things can be counted as Synecdoche. Now I am giving you an example of how part is representing a whole, how part is representing a whole. Okay, so this is the example. So if you see this, if you see the line from the poem over here, not a soul would dare to sleep. So soul is a part, soul is one entity, but it is representing all the men on the boat. Okay, but it is representing all the men on the boat, right? So soul, if you see, soul is a small part that is representing a big entity. So a small entity is representing a whole entity or a larger entity. Okay, right? So a soul is a small entity, but is representing all the men on the boat. So is the poet talking about one person on the boat? No, the poet is talking about all the person on the boat, all the people on the boat. So how a soul represents a little part, but it is, the poet is trying to say it all the men. So a part representing a big entity. Now we get to the second part. So if you see up, Okay, a whole represents a part. So it can be a part representing a whole, or it can be a whole representing a small part. So it is the sentence, if you see, Australia won the match, right? If you see this sentence, Australia won the match. So does it mean whole Australia, the whole Australian country won the match? No, it means only the team members of Australia won the match. Are you understanding? So you see how a larger entity is representing a smaller entity. You see how a country is representing a small team members. Are you understanding? So am I trying to say that whole of the Australia won the match? No, I am just trying to say that the team members won the match. So here you understand that a whole is representing a part, okay? That a whole is representing a part. I hope you all have understood this much, that what is Synecdoche. So once again, students, I want you to say with me Synecdoche, okay? And Synecdoche is what? I'll just write it here. It is a figure of speech. Okay, next figure of speech you are familiar. It is, you know, you'll have done it in prior grades also. That is 7th grade, 6th grade. It is personification. Okay, so we'll move to personification. So students, you see here personification. And what is personification? Personification is when an inanimate object or a thing represent as living, breathing forms, they are said to be personified. If you see over here, they are said to be personified. So any inanimate thing given the quality of any being that is breathing, that is living. It can be plants, it can be animals, it can be humans. Okay, so that is called as personification. So students, what is personification? Personification is a figure of speech. Okay, personification is also a, I hope it's clear, figure of speech. Personification is also figure of speech, and what happens in personification? It happens that when an inanimate object, any object that is inanimate, it cannot do the things that a living being can do, that a plant can do, that an animal can do, that a human can do, but it possesses that quality to do. That is called as personification. So students, if you observe over there, I'll just go there. So students, you can see the example of personification over here, and I have already provided you with the example of personification while we were doing the poem. Okay, while we were reading the poem. So if you observe your example, the sentence is, while the hungry sea was roaring. Okay, while the hungry sea, there it is, sea is there, while the hungry sea was roaring. Okay, so you tell me, does the sea possess the quality of roaring? No. Any wise person or any normal person at any normal circumstance, anybody will say that a sea does not possess the quality of roaring. The quality of roaring is possessed by a lion or any other animal that is breathing, okay, that is living. Okay, so here you see the example of personification. The next example of personification, students, is this one. Okay, this one. And the breakers talked with death. So as I told you, students, that breakers are the waves that have white bubbles. So can the breakers talk with death? Can the white bubbles, the wave that has white bubbles, possess the quality of talking? No. The quality of talking only is there in the human beings. So what the poet has done, the quality of human beings, he has transferred it to the breakers. Breakers, what I told you, breakers are the waves that having white bubbles. So you see, these are the two examples of personification from your poem. So students, next I want to talk to you is about your activity. So today's activity will be, you have to write a short story of a sea voyage. It is given in your Communicate with Cambridge book, page number 65. You can see over here. Okay. You have to write a short story about a sea voyage. The story must have at least 4 characters, a well-defined plot. That means a well-defined backbone of the story, and a narrative style. Narrative style, that means you are narrating. Like once upon, it should be like you are narrating. As you say a story, you should be a third person, okay? So that is called as a narrative. Third person means like I am talking to somebody about somebody. Like I am talking to you about a thing that had happened some time ago, okay? You know, there was a man and this and that, and there was a city, and once upon a time. That is called as the narrative style. There must be 4 characters and a well-defined plot, means a well-defined structure of the story, right? It should be a 1-page story is more than enough. It shouldn't be copied from Google, because I do that check, students. I take your whatever stories you have written, I paste it on Google, and if I find a similar search for it, that means you have copied from Google. Inspiration is another thing, copying is another thing. So if you're inspired from a story and you add your own creativity to it and you write that story, that's a total different thing, okay? But if you are copying, that is not acceptable, okay? So try not to copy, right? And I'm not saying that all the students copy. Most of them, many had also written it from their own creative mind. So I congratulate them that they had the guts to write. Others, please try and do it on your own, right? At sea voyage. So what is a voyage? Excuse me. A voyage is a long, exciting journey. What is a voyage? Voyage is a long, exciting journey. So you're going on a sea voyage. Might be you're going on a cruise, might be you're going on a ship, or might be you and your friends are enjoying on a boat. Okay, and you are on a sea voyage going from one country to the other, or you're enjoying a world tour. It depends on your imagination, right, students? Okay, so now we have this part of the story, that is your page number 64. Okay, students, so it is using words. Match the expressions from column A with their meanings in column B. So hold one's breath is given in column A, you can observe, and in B there are the meanings of those expressions. So I'll provide you with the meanings of 2 others. You have to do it yourself. In the next video, while I'll be teaching another lesson, I'll be providing you with the answers so that you can cross check your answers with what you have written, right, students? So these are 2 activities that you have to do, right? So the short story you can do, and the using words you can do in your Word file. If you do in your notebook, that is acceptable. That is not a question, but no need to do as a, as a CW, as a classwork. You can do it in a Word document, or you can do it in your rough book and send me the pictures of that. Anyway, whichever you are comfortable with. So first expression is hold one's breath. So it means to be very excited, right? Holds one breath means to be very excited. And the second expression is beat around the bush. So you must have heard this expression quite around the bush. So what is the meaning of that? It means avoid the main topic. So I'm talking to you on some topic and I'm asking you why you did this, and you're beating around the bush. That means you are going astray from the main topic and you're trying to deceive me by saying some other things, okay, that are irrelevant. So you understand, beating around the bush means to avoid the main topic. So I hope students, you all have understood this chapter. If at all you all have any doubt, any queries, go and comment. Rather than spreading hate, you can